identified agent was nowhere to be found. Now, I'll look at the story right now. This is a tragedy, and a house help who was employed 7 days, immediately he resumed or work, and I'm trying to look at, does it mean that this man, the boy who stabbed his boss, I employed you in 7 days, upon resumption, you now stab me to death? Does it mean that they don't have a really good working agency that actually is looking into this body of people? Because most of them, they say they have a group of people where you now come and then ask them to stay with you or be the house help. Now, but the question I'm asking is that, what do you think is also going to be done? Is it right for them to get to know to their parents, know where they are living, know every details at the station and all whatnot, so that they can also prevent such a death to occur?
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate. The situation is actually such that should be avoided.
Exactly.
It would have been a forestalled situation if proper measures were taken. This time we live in is unpredictable. I'm bringing someone to come stay with you at your home, considering security situations, considering the peculiarity we have in our communities and in our nation today. You can't really vouch for anybody. So hence, before you bring anybody to stay with you as a domestic staff, there are measures that should be taken.
Okay.
Especially now that we have agencies that are responsible for recruiting this domestic staff at various states, and then they actually have those that are well registered. And being registered is not just about having a business name registered with the CSE. There are a lot of these agencies that are well profiled by security personnel, and then every other person they actually send that through their employment catalog, how they have actually profiled these individuals down to their down to their roots, to their communities, to their villages, and every other persons around them. But most of the times, for the want of quick intervention, or for the purpose of cutting costs, or not wanting to spend, or trying to follow these processes, a lot of persons fall back to referrals from family members, referrals from friends, referrals from church members, and name it, that you cannot actually say is credible enough. You cannot say you are holding anybody responsible. You can see, sad enough, the story we just had is a situation where the agency, the agent that brought the lady is nowhere to be found. And there is, at this point, you can't really say there is a trace. There is a trace to the lady, meaning or implying that no, the lady or the herself did not come through a well-profiled agency or organization that should cater for this. So a simple advice to households that want to bring in domestic staff to support or to do whatever role they deem fit, they should actually take the pain to source them rightly from right agencies that are well registered, profiled by security personnel, and they have credible information and details about these agencies.
And also getting to know their villages and then their parents, their guidance, so wherever they are coming from, other than the agencies. Yes, when you profile them, you have to profile them down to the roots.
Yes.
Because so that in case of this kind of emergency situation results into the death of this man, the boss now, they will trace them down to the village. Yes, so that they could provide the individual, the culprit who perpetrated the crime.
Most of the time, before these persons are brought down to whatever home they want to reside, there are also guarantors.
Okay,
they
yes.
Bring referees,
And
those that are standing for them to attest, and then affirm to the fact that when anything eventual happens, they are going to provide such persons. And then they don't just end it at at that point. They also know the guarantors down to their own residents and to their own. They also have the biodata of such referees. So it goes a long way. And such person knowing too well that everybody around them is known, gives some caution
Yeah.
You know, give some guide. We're not talking about the situation now, the scenario that led to this incident, you know, of there is nothing justifiable for you to murder a person, not talk about your boss, the person that brought you to come, just 7 days, a week into your engagement. I think it's actually pathetic to hear, and the right measure should be put in place.
Exactly.
Yes.
The right measure has to be put in place in order to make sure that it serves as a deterrent to other people and even to the families who are also looking out to have this domestic staff in their building. Now, let's look at another story. It's coming from FCT in Abuja. It's a weekend meet. Senator says insecurity has reduced in FCT. The Federal Capital Territory FCT Minister Ezenwo Nyesonwike on Wednesday, as you can see on the pictorial expression, addressed the Nigerian Senate on the state of security in the nation's capital, Abuja, saying the administration has been able to bring down the wave of insecurity, and it's talking about in Abuja. Now, speaking after the closed section, Wike said the challenge is that some of the kidnap cases were stage managed by individuals working as aides to the victims, noting that the Senate was happy with the improving state of security in the FCT. Now, Wike said the lawmakers had given him a lot of suggestions which he hopes to implement. He said, the senators agree that security has improved in the FCT. Let me also say that there is no part of the world where criminality has been abated. We have heard several times in the United States of America where criminals go to school and shoot students. So people should not have that impression that you cannot have one crime or the other. What we need is being able to limit or reduce the level of insecurity. Wike said. But if anybody tells you that society, as society are concerned, you will not have one crime or the other, that is not correct. And we must tell ourselves the simple truth. Also, most of the kidnapping stories you hear, some of them are state managed by people, that they are some internal arrangement. Take, for example, you have a housekeeper or a driver in the house who will pilot to kidnap the child of his boss. In such case, what do you expect us to do? What we can do is to ensure that the person that is kidnapped is released. But to stop it will be very difficult because it is an in-house arrangement where a driver who is paid to go and pick his boss children from school will mastermind their kidnapping. So these and he said, I am not saying there are no kidnapping cases. Mind you, two most wanted kidnappers have been arrested, and that is why you see that the level of kidnapping has reduced. We are not saying that we want to be, but we are doing a lot, and people should acknowledge that what used to be is not what we are seeing now. We will continue to do our best to ensure that we provide the best of our people. We cannot give you the assurance that there will be no form of criminality. Nobody can do that as long as we are humans. The minister also promised more infrastructure development in the territory. He said what is important is what the FCT should expect from now. I will say improved security, more infrastructure. You can see what is going on in the FCT. It has been turned into a construction site, and you can also see what has happened in the FCT. Now we have our own civil service commission. Now we have our own permanent secretaries, which has never been. There are new things in the FCT, and the residents are happy, Wike stated. When we talk about insecurity in the FCTs, well, really highly concentrated because this is the heart of the country. And now Wike, who happened to be the former governor of Rivers State, now he's now the minister of the FCT. He's actually, talking about the ways and that it's being reduced, and nobody can say no. In any country, in any state, he cited United States, he cited Europe, and all of that. That you must hear of crimes and criminality. But he said that what they are actually working is to reduce it to the barest minimum. Absolutely. And he, being the FCT minister, that he has done his best in order to make sure that he reduced it to the barest minimum. What can you relate to this? Do you think he's actually is working? To me, Wike is actually working. Being the FCT minister and a one-time governor of Rivers State.
Okay.
I would actually give credit to his words. Yes, absolutely. We can actually see that the security measures are put in place. And from what you have said, there are, very tenable facts from what you have said, considering the fact that, yes, despite the fact that the government is doing their bit to ensure that the level of criminality and insecurity is being reduced. However, putting a total stopper to it might not be possible. Why? Because there are different factors and key players that are responsible to this. And he cited an instance or examples where you have collaborators coming from staff, assistants, personal aides, domestic staff that the victims might have at their home, which if you look at it, I consider that as a very strong factor to consider. Why? Because there is no kidnapping whatsoever that happens without a thorough plot.
An insider.
Yes, an insider is definitely part of it.
Like he said.
And so, sure, and certainly it has been considered and plotted over a period of time. Your itineraries, your movement, and a lot of things has been projected, has been understudied, has, been, and that is what they execute on, nothing else. They know the route you'll be taking, they know the route you take in and all that. And these informations are made available from very closely related sources. And then we begin to ask, how can we put this to a stop or a bearable minimum? You begin to consider where you don't relegate everything, every information, about your itineraries. You become so careless about your environment, those around you. There are some persons they relegate virtually everything to those around them, their staff or their aides. You should have some, some confidential information. Intentionally try to change your itinerary predictable. Knowing too well that you have people around you. The time you come in should actually, be not predicted. The persons actually working with you, some information should be, kept away from them. And this helps to build a security. It saves a lot. It saves a lot. And who knows, you can actually have saved yourself from, a very looming danger that would have caused a great damage, psychological impact, or even loss of life to self or members of your household.
Yeah, that means it's quite really commendable, because when he said that those plotting these problems, this kidnapping, are members very close, not just members of the family, but those who are very close. That now you cannot, there's no way you can stop it other than minimizing it.
Absolutely.
Now, that once they capture them, once they kidnapped them, that their only concern is to victim. Now, I think he's trying to say that if you are employing anyone, just like you said, you have to be very, is on you. Either to release your information, your itineraries, where you're going to. So one needs to also be very, very careful, because this is a very practical way of reducing kidnapping. It's a very practical way of tackling insecurity.
Security factor, when we talk about security situation, it is not left for the government alone.
At all.
It is, a communal effort. Everyone has a role to play. And if we become careless or do not feel concerned about what is happening around us, we frustrate the efforts that the government will put in place. And it only accumulates to a situation where the government is only trying to put effort to, abate the situation, to release victims and the rest of it, but they cannot stop the incidents from happening. So when you talk about trying to prevent some security threats from happening, it comes from the information or the proactiveness that those within the community, put up. And that is actually what every one of us now should be considering.
And in addition to that, your lifestyle also can also tell.
Exactly.
Your lifestyle matters.
Yes.
The kind of cars you have now, because the economy is actually subsidized. Everyone is hungry, so it can even, your lifestyle can even be an attraction to those people.
Yes,
absolutely. I think in addition to that, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yes, I saw a video on social media where, from the clip, the person videoing was in a different car behind another car. and he was trying to, the information he was trying to actually pass is that this person in this economy is trying to show himself by driving such a car in such an environment. And, the message there is that you're actually making yourself prone to security, risks and all that. So hence, from what you're just saying, the economy we are in now, it's not actually a time to begin to talk about living carelessly or showing off unnecessarily. If you want to show off, or there are maybe you choose your location, you choose your environment, you choose maybe possibly the country where you can do that, go for a vacation and show off, enjoy your work. But when you are out for work or your daily routine, try to minimize certain things, and some level of show off is not necessary, especially in public places and functions.
Exactly. Yeah. I know a man who is working in a notable oil company. He just said, you know why I use this car? Because I'm just trying to be on a low key, so that I will prevent these hoodlums from, kidnapping me, thinking that I have excess money, to play around. Well, that's okay, that's all right. Well, in case you're just watching us right now, this is Press Roundtable on Atlantic Television Network. And I have Stanley here as my guest. I want to go for a short break. When we come back, we want to look at President Bola Tinubu as he has erected the opening of Nigeria's land and air borders with the Republic of Niger. Just stay tuned.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human trafficker.
Honorable they are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-the-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
We're glad to have you back on Atlantic Television Network Press Roundtable. Now let's look at the quick one. The story is now that the President Bola Tinubu has directed the opening of Nigeria's land and air borders with the Republic of Niger. He also directed the lifting of other sanctions against the country with immediate effect. President Tinubu has also approved the lifting of financial and economic sanctions against the Republic of Guinea. Read a statement signed by the Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, said the statement is titled, Nigeria opens land and air borders with Republic of Niger, lifts other sanctions. Now, during the summit, ECOWAS leaders reached a consensus to lift economic sanctions against several nations, including the Republic of Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Guinea. As you can see there, President Tinubu's directive specifically entails the lifting of the following sanctions imposed on the Republic of Niger. Number one is said the closure of land and air borders between Nigeria and Niger Republic, along with the ECOWAS no-fly zone on all commercial flights to and fro from Niger Republic. Suspension of all commercial and financial transactions between Nigeria and Niger, including the freezing of service transactions such as utility services and electricity to Niger Republic. Number three is a freeze of assets belonging to the Republic of Niger in ECOWAS central banks, as well as assets of state enterprises and parastatals in commercial banks. Suspension of Niger from receiving financial assistance and conducting transactions with financial institutions, particularly EBID and board. Lift on travel bans imposed on government officials and their family members. Now, furthermore, President Tinubu also authorized the lifting of financial and economic sanctions against the Republic of Guinea. And as you can see there, Nigeria presidency, Nigeria opens land air borders with the Niger Republic. Now, you notice that before now, there has been sanctions on these countries, Guinea, Mali, Niger Republic, and so on and so forth. Now, coming at this point, when I was actually looking at the stories, my heart was gladdened because I feel it's a welcome development. It's going to really help our country very in this time of need. Yes. Where we need this international communication, these international transactions that could really actually help our country. Now, so I think I don't know what you, as a journalist, as a media practitioner, I don't know how you look at it.
I actually saw the stories today, and I actually felt so happy with the development, because it's actually a step in the right direction, considering the economic situation, which generally as a nation. And I wasn't just looking at the lifting of the sanction in terms of the benefits or the impact on the Niger Republic and other affected countries, but its impact and effect on us. Why? Because, of course, one way or the other, Nigerians are also being affected by every sanction that is placed on its neighboring countries and that it has diplomatic ties with. And of course, closing the land borders and other air travel, it's not just affecting or restricting those from the other side, but we Nigerians too. It affects trade, it affects the economy. And the development definitely is going to cushion the effects of the current, hardship and economic situation we're talking about. So I wasn't just looking at it at its impact or benefit to the Niger Republic, but to Nigerians. So it's actually a good one, and of course too, it's a good measure or necessary policy that should be implemented, considering the fact that Nigeria is also a major stakeholder at the ECOWAS body with our president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, standing or sitting as the president, of the board, and hence every other policies and decision that is coming from them, Nigeria is expected to, carry out a foremost implementation for others to, follow suit. So it's actually a right development, and we didn't. I wasn't expecting anything short of that. All the same, it's a good development both for the Niger Republic and for Nigerians too.
All right. Yes, I think so. It's really a welcome development for Nigerians, because once you have this, once you open this border and lift all those sanctions that are really making Nigeria not to have that wonderful relationship with them, because now we're going to have a trade.
Yes,
we're going to have
a free flow of trade.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very good one. Now, a quick one. The Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, has decried the high cost of fuel prices as well as the introduction of surcharges. According to him, the cost of Jet A1 was about 1,200 naira per litre, as against 360 per litre the service budgeted for. Abubakar described these as one of the issues affecting the effectiveness of the service. And you see, media reports that Jet A1 is a kerosene-type fuel compatible with most jet aircraft, both civil and military, helicopter, tribune, turbine engines, turboprops, and compression ignition pistons engines. Abubakar spoke during the visit by members of the House of Representatives Committee on Air Force, led by the chairman, Kabiru Al-Hassan Rumun, to the NAF headquarters in Abuja on Wednesday, according to a statement by the Director of Public Relations and Information, AVM, Edward Bakwet. Abubakar pleaded with the National Assembly to permit the Air Force to import Jet A1 fuel to sustain ongoing air operations. The statement partly reads, the CAS also use the opportunity of the visit to reel out some pressing challenges militating against NAF's effectiveness, one of which is the astronomic rise in fuel prices and the introduction of surcharges. Currently, the situation is worsening as the cost of Jet A1 fluctuates at almost 1,200 naira per litre, as against the budgeted 360 naira per litre. So we are soliciting that enough be permitted to independently commence the importation of Jet A1 fuel to sustain their ongoing air operations. Now, look at it. This is about NAF actually talking to the reps, taking permissions for them to import aviation fuel, because if you're looking at the country and the economy, the fuel we are consuming, the fuel we are using right now, you know how much it is from. In fact, they were selling fuel at the rate of 180 to 200 and something, and nobody was actually complaining. But now, the way things are going here right now, with this fuel hike, is also affecting the aviation industry. And I think it's going to affect us more with our relationship with outside the country, outside the country in all ramifications.
Correct. I think one thing I was actually considering why the story was up was the fact that the NAF operations budgeted for this aviation fuel when it was at the rate of 360 naira, and currently it's being purchased at 1,200 naira. You can imagine the margin difference, and definitely it's going to affect the operations of the agency. And when the security outfit as NAF is being affected in terms of operation and logistics, you can imagine it undermines security to a large extent. It undermines their response to, distress situations. And considering this as a way forward, just like they have put forward, their request was for the National Assembly to give them the permit or the waiver to import the fuel directly or source it directly from any part of the world. That is one. And I think too that a waiver, a quick response should actually be done in terms of maybe supplementary budget allocation to support the operations of you know, the NAV and every other agency that deals with security in the nation that is affected, in order to achieve, you know, results, to achieve success, and, you know, contribute more effectively to the security situation we're talking about today in Nigeria. So just like they put their pleas, it's something that I believe the Committee on Aviation should take back to the Assembly and consider making the operations of NAF and every other security agency affected by the hike in cost of fuel and other, you know, products affordable and accessible for them for ease of operations and service.
Now, what I'm saying is this now, if the Jet A1 is fluctuating almost at 1,200 naira per liter as against the budget at 360 naira then. Now, if they start importing this fuel, is it going to go a long way? Is it going to really help? Because is it not money that they're going to use to import all these fuels?
Yeah, okay. I think I would say giving them the access to import, it's going to cushion their impact. Of course, they have made recommendation of that. So for them to recommend that means they know it's going to be productive. Importing themselves means they are getting it directly from source, and hence they are boycotting or cutting off, you know, the intermediaries and their profits or their gains. Hence would have actually enabled them to still buy it, make purchase at a near estimated price from their budgets and you know, their budget for the year. But in addition to that, I believe before such approvals and, you know, waivers could be given, a lot of reviews will also be made in order to checkmate operations and how it's being carried out to avoid abuse, to avoid you know, misuse of such opportunity, which I believe in terms of policy, Nigerian and its parliaments are very good when it comes to policy and regulation. So I don't see that as much of a concern. And such, you know, access and waiver can easily be withdrawn in a place of abuse or misappropriation. So it's, if that is a recommendation that has been put forward, a trial, a consent should be given to see.
Or maybe to give it a trial.
To see
now,
how it works.
I think they also have to consider reducing this fuel, because it's really telling us, non-Nigerians, it's really telling on everyone.
Seriously.
The cost of transportation to work is something else. You know, even if you enter a box, if you take a boat, if you even enter the common tricycle, it's quite really rising, you know, and everyone is feeling the pain. Even your own car coming to work, fueling your car now, you're going to spend almost 50,000
Most
naira.
persons actually prefer taking public
transport these days now, and which is not
cars.
really also okay, you know, because there are some persons who are really living a private life, and in order to also avoid these insecurity issues and try to, you know, help themselves and protect themselves and their family members, they don't really want to enter public vehicle.
Correct.
But now, because of the hike in fuel price, they are now resorting to entering public vehicles.
Yes, you can see when situations present themselves, you actually have to weigh your options, and between meeting up with, coping up with such private life and its demand and expenses, and maybe easing up a little, you weigh the boat and know which would, because the boats, on the other way, if you actually go bankrupt, is also a very serious threat to even your security as well. Hence, you weigh your boat option and know which should be the best way to cut. But overall, the government should actually, you know, consider. I know policies, promises from the presidency and every other agency of government has always been out there in the media and from every other platform. But we've seen little or no effect or impact of it. What we as Nigerians are yearning for is for us to see good governance, drastic impact of the policies and the efforts that are put in place to reduce the cost of living generally, And of course, a major a major pathway to tool in terms of bringing an impact or effective reduction in the cost of living is addressing the fuel scarcity or the cost of getting fuel down to the last consumers.
Exactly. So I think they have to do something. They have to reduce the fuel, the prices and the fuel, so that they have to do something about it. Talking about the fuel subsidy removal, if nothing is done, it's going to affect every sectors, because once the fuel is high, it affects everywhere, and that's why we are having these prices of goods skyrocketing.
That's a major
services.
indicator of inflation.
Exactly. So Nigeria is actually, now we are now in inflation, right? That's what we're saying.
We've been under inflation. In fact, when you look at the inflation index, it has risen far beyond every other year. And it's evident over there in the market. So a way to reduce it is reducing the cost of transportation, which fuel is a major factor to that.
All right, okay, that's the much we can go for today on Press Roundtable on Atlantic Television Network. You stay connected on Atlantic Television socials and follow and like our page on our Twitter, Atlantic TV Net, on our Facebook and on YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, on an Instagram and on TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1. Then you can also watch us live on StarTimes on channel 194. Our website is also on atlanticnetwork.tv. On our app, you watch us on ATN Live and on our YouTube and Facebook, Atlantic Television Network. Atlantic Television Network Press Roundtable, we provided right narrative and news narration. And I want to tell you that at 9 o'clock we shall be coming up with the global news. That's 9 p.m. Peace and unity are always a pathways to progress. But do not forget that you have to be in mind that you must be security conscious. Even anyone living to you, very, very, very close to you, your neighbors, you have to be very, very careful with those living in your neighborhood. It's not just only the government that needs to take care of the insecurity like we are talking about it. It is a collective responsibility. You need to do something. You need to take proactive measures. At this point, I want to thank my guest. He's been a wonderful man. He's been a voice, someone I respect his opinion, and his name is Stanley Amade. Stanley, it's very wonderful to have you, one more time on the studio here. All right, so my name is Angel Wokoma. You can also join me on my socials on Angelic Angel on the social media. And from me is you have a wonderful night.